Hello! In the last video we talked about the Egyptian pyramids, tombs paintings, sphinxes, the temple of Hatshepsut and the singing colossus of Memnon. And I promised to tell you about some more works of art. The largest temple complex of ancient Egypt is located in Karnak. The oldest surviving building of the complex dates back to the 20th century BC, a white chapel, built by order of Pharaohs and Horus Temple. The large hypostyle hall is the world's largest stone hall with an overlap, the area of which is 5,000 square meters. But the roof has not been preserved to this day. The central columns of the hall are higher than the other. The height is 24 meters and their circumference is 10 meters. It was created by orders of several pharaohs. Pylons and obelisks were also built by rulers of different times. For example, Queen Hatshepsut put up 4 obelisks and planned another one, the largest, 41.8 meters high and weighing about 1,200 tons. Part of it has been preserved. Her stepson Thutmose III erected 2 obelisks and ordered a relief depicting the flora and fauna of Egypt and the territories conquered by him. A huge granite statue of the scarab beetle was installed during the reign of Amenhotep III. Laksa Temple, dedicated to the god Amon, the goddess Mut and their son Khonsu, is 2 kilometers from the Karnak Temple. It began to be built under Amenhotep III. Karnak and Laksa temples are connected by the alley of sphinxes with ram's heads. Badges with images of these gods and their son they carried along it from Karnak to Laksa on the vain day of Amon and Mut. Another grandiose building of ancient Egypt is the temple in Abu Simbel of the 13th century BC, dedicated to the victory of Pharaoh Ramses II over the Hittites. Its facade is decorated with 4 20-meter statues of the gods Amon, Ra, Ptah, and Pharaoh himself. Twice a year, on the Pharaoh's birthday at 22nd of February and on the day of his coronation at 22nd of October at 6 a.m. it was possible to observe how a ray of sunlight penetrates the temple along a 65 meters corridor and illuminates the statues of the god Amon and Ra and the face of Ramses II. Near to this temple is the temple of his wife, Nefertari, in the image of the goddess Hathor. In the 6th of the 20th century, these buildings were moved. People took 2 huge temples and moved them 200 meters. The construction of Aswan Dam and flooding of Lake Nessa would lead to problems with these buildings, and an ambitious project was created. The temples were divided into blocks weighing from 20 to 30 tons, which were moved to a new location and the temples were assembled. The temple in Dandora, built already during the reign of Ptolemies, which lasted from the 4th to 1st centuries BC, is dedicated to the goddess Hathor. In addition to images of the goddess herself, there are several sanctuaries of Osiris on the upper floor, in one of which he is depicted in a rare pose, lying on his stomach. There was also the famous Dandora zodiac. It is in the Louvre now. The Egyptians created accurate catalogues of stars and maps of the starry sky, and also assumed that during the day the stars remain in their places. They are simply not visible because of the bright light of the sun. The temple is also known for images of unusual objects similar to incandescent lamps. Egyptologists say that these are images of God growing like a flower. Mysterious reliefs were found in the temple of Pharaoh Seti I in Abydos, built in the 13th century BC. They resemble images of airplanes. The temple in Edfu, dedicated to the god Horus, is the second largest after Karnak, 37 meters long, 79 meters wide. The height of the pylons is 36 meters. It has existed since ancient times. Later, under the Ptolemies, it was rebuilt according to ancient plans. On the walls of the temple, there are many hieroglyphic inscriptions on various topics, including recipes for incense ointments. The custom of mummification made it possible to study the anatomy of the human body. The Egyptians developed the doctrine of blood circulation and realized that the heart is the main organ of this system. The ancient Egyptian treatise on the heart is part of the Arabs' Papyrus, collection of knowledge of medicine, was made more than 4,000 years ago. The Egyptians noticed that brain damage leads to a disorder of the functions of various parts of the body. According to the large numbers of surgical instruments found during the excavations, archaeologists came to the conclusion that surgery was widely developed in ancient Egypt. Egyptian writing originated in the 4000 BC as pictographic writing, when the text was written in drawings. By the beginning of the 3000 BC, hieroglyphic writing appeared. This is a kind of schematic drawing. Simplified hieroglyphs are used for fast writing. This is hieratic writing, when hieroglyphs have become more rounded. And in the 1000 BC, cursive writing appears. This is a demotic writing. The Egyptian wrote from the right to left, and a new paragraph began with the red paint. Hence, the expression "write with a red line." The Frenchman Champollion decoded the Egyptian script based on the data of the Rosette Stone, written in hieroglyphs, demotic writing, and Greek. Hieroglyphs were used for monumental inscriptions. For other texts used hieratic and demotic. The ancient Egyptians wrote on papyrus, a type of paper used since the 3000 BC. It was made from the papyrus plant, which as a raw material is called Byblos, from the name of the Phoenician city Byblos. Its trunk was cut into strips, laid out according to the shape of the finished sheet, first along, then across, and sent under the press. Then they were taken out, beaten with a hammer, smeared with the glue, and dried in the sun. By the way, papyrus was also used to build boats for sailing on the Nile, and, as the experiment of Tur-Heyerdahl proved, by sea. There was a special way of writing for the names of the pharaohs. They were written in a special form. The most common type, Cartouche or Cheno, is an oval contour with a line. If the oval is vertical, then the line is horizontal. And if the it horizontal, then the line is vertical. Before the cartouche, there was a serech, which was decorated with the facade and the plan of the palace. Writing was patronized by the god Thoth. He was also responsible for mathematics. The Egyptians knew addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, used the decimal system. The oldest mathematical text belonged to the 2000 BC. God Thoth divided the time into days and months and introduced a chronology. In Egypt, there was a calendar for 365 days. It was divided into 3 seasons: Achet, the time of flooding; Peret, the time of sowing; and Shenu, the time of heat. Each had 4 months. It was a brief overview of the culture of ancient Egypt. However, it turned out not so short, a few videos. Next up are stories about Mesopotamia. I will tell you about the gods and writing, ziggurats and hanging gardens of Semiramis. I will not ignore the sensational planet Nibiru and the creation of man, as well as the flood and the first set of laws in history, etc. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please like this video. If you find a mistake in my English, please write to me in the comments. Thank you for your attention.